Okay, for this video, I'm going to show how to set up the projectors as they currently are. So hopefully this will get updated in the near future, but I have the Mac Mini in here from my office and the monitor, which was in the sanctuary for the live stream over there. So the first thing that I do is put the cart in place. So I like to have the cart just right next to the power outlets there. Okay, and try to get it as close to straight as possible. It's kind of hard to judge all that. Once I get the screens on, then I'll make some adjustments to make sure it's straight. Now, what I'll probably end up doing is moving the table over a little bit so that everything's lined up a little better, but that's not a problem. Okay, so this cord with the adapters on it that just fell off is going to be what actually goes into our projector. So the way it's working right now, it's kind of a comedy of adapters here. We've got just a standard VGA cable that goes into the projector, into one of those outputs. So one of those, this is the input right here. And then we've got a VGA to HDMI adapter. And then we have an HDMI to USB-C adapter that's actually going to plug into the Mac Mini. So we'll plug that in. So that's going to go into the Mac Mini. And then this cord is actually going to power this cart. And we kind of run everything over here off of that power. So we'll just pop that open. I don't have nails, so there we go. And plug this right in. Okay, so we have power there. Our power strip is on. So the next thing we gotta do is get everything plugged in to the power strip. Now the projectors will automatically have power. You can see the blue lights came on those. So what I'll do next is grab the Mac Mini. So we've got our wireless keyboard. Just sit over here. This I just had charging the keyboard the other day. Let's go back over there. Move the mouse into place. And then grab our Mac Mini. And I just kind of keep it tucked right here. You know, the lovely thing about the Mac Mini is, of course, how small and portable it is. Makes it very easy. You know, you keep a monitor in your office and you can just carry it back and forth with no problem. Okay, so Mac Mini is going to get plugged into this power strip. Okay, so the Mac Mini is now plugged into the power strip, and I also have the monitor plugged into the power strip as well. I figured you probably didn't need to see me plug that in. So this is just coming out of the power for the monitor. All right, so the next thing I do is plug in the HDMI cable from the monitor into the back of the Mac Mini. So that's just going to go in the one HDMI port. Now, technically, it doesn't matter that I have the monitor plugged into HDMI and the projector plugged into the USB-C. It really is okay either way. So once that's plugged in, then I go ahead and power up the Mac Mini just to get it booting up. I don't have any justification for this or proof, but I think it's better to go ahead and have the monitor plugged in first, turn it on, and then plug the other thing in. I don't know why in my brain it seems like it works better. Okay, so we do have our little LED light on the front of the Mac Mini. So it is powering up. The next thing I'll grab is this USB cord that's run out from the stage. You'll remember that we ran that the other day. And this is going to just plug into one of the regular USB ports on the back of the Mac Mini. And this is going to be our audio output. Okay, so magically it is now in place. And then finally, I'll grab our projector with all the adapters and I'll plug it in. And that's going to go in these USB-C, which are labeled as Firewire here. That's what the little lightning symbol is, Firewire. Or not Firewire, Thunderbolts. So that'll plug in there. Okay. So we do have another Thunderbolt available if we need to run another monitor for whatever reason or anything else. You can also run an external hard drive or something off of that. Okay, so we come around to the front once we're done, and we are all set up and ready to go. I am going to keep you here for just a second to show you how I make adjustments. I do have my fingerprint plugged in here, so once I get the keyboard connected, so just usually hit enter to get the keyboard connected, and then I'll just use my fingerprint. Oh, that didn't work, so we'll put in the password, which is of course on the document sheet. The mouse, sometimes you have to click it to get it connected as well. So the first thing I do is go ahead and open up ProPresenter. And I will, part of what I do here on Sunday morning, or on Thursday or Friday, whenever I set this up, is to double check and make sure my graphics work. So our projectors are not great, and they're having to fight through a lot of light. So I do want to make sure that my graphics, they're not washed out or anything. And actually this is a great example, because as you can see, the graphic is washed out. So I'm going to need to fix that, and I will fix that later on. That little gray box down at the bottom is just talking about the filter on the projector, and that's fine. Wouldn't worry too much about that. Okay, so it is a little crooked here. You know, you can just kind of move it to get it adjusted. So we've got that one on the main wall, and then we've got our projector on the back, which is way out of place. So we'll make a couple of adjustments here. You also notice that the left side of the one on the back wall is cut off. That's just something about having to run through all the adapters. So the small projector actually runs out of the back of the larger projector, so it's just duplicating that thing, and that can be a little bit funky. Okay, so up there you can actually see the text just fine. On this one it is a little washed out, so I may add an outline to it to make it look a little better. So what I'll do is go in and double check, you know, pick some of my graphics and make sure that everything looks okay. A lot of times I will go ahead and scan that QR code, but I can tell that it's sticking out just fine. So that's perfectly acceptable. And then check a couple of the songs. Yeah, that looks good. I do like the kind of darker backgrounds there, work really well for these. Okay. So that's basically it for how to set up the Mac Mini and the projectors. Pretty easy setup process there. You know, not ideal, but it works. And then whenever Bill gets here, he will set up the live stream on the other side, or I might go ahead and do that now just to get it on video. Let me show you a neat trick for shutting down the PC, or shutting down the Mac Mini. I'll go ahead and quit ProPresenter. And then what I like to do is just put it to sleep instead of turning it completely off. One thing I noticed though is that when I would put it to sleep, when I would pick up my mouse, it would wake it back up. So what I've started doing is I'll go ahead and turn off my mouse, and I'm going to push Command spacebar and type terminal. Oh, I actually put an extra R there. And we're going to go to our terminal. And the last thing that I use, if I push the up arrow here, it'll show me on the screen the last command I put in, which is the PM set sleep now command. And that'll actually turn, that'll put the computer to sleep. And then all I have to do is turn off the keyboard, which is this little button on the back right there. And as long as I turn that off without pushing any buttons, it will keep the computer asleep. It doesn't wake it back up. So the next thing I'll do then is just to turn off the projector. If I push the power button once, it gives me that, and then pushing it again, we'll turn it off. And then the same thing here, push it once, and then push it again to turn it off. And that's all done. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call, shoot me an email, and hopefully I can help you out.